Welcome back. We're working on Lightroom today, and you watched hopefully the why Lightroom video. Also, before you start this class, you will need to have Adobe Lightroom Classic installed on your computer. Instructions for that are in the assignment in class number 3. And if you have questions, send me an email or stop by the Zoom office hours. My suggestion is for this video, you work along with me. Pause the video as you need, but have the video running maybe on your phone if you have it on your computer, so you can listen and watch while you're working on your computer as well. Or you can watch it all the way through and then maybe play it, just the audio, and work on your computer. However works best for you. But my suggestion, again, is to have Adobe Lightroom Classic installed on your computer. Now, if you want to make sure you have Lightroom Classic, here's what you do. Lightroom Classic looks like this. This is the interface that you'll come to when you get there. If you're logged into Adobe's servers, it'll have your name up here in the top left. So look for that. The interface is quite a bit different than the other version of Lightroom, which is just called Lightroom. Also, the icons are different. So Lightroom Classic is LR with a capital C icon, and then Lightroom, regular Lightroom, looks like this. It's a totally different interface, even though they're both gray, but they look different. This one doesn't have your name in the top left. Okay, that's the difference. Not this one. So we don't want this one. I'm going to quit this. We want this one, Lightroom Classic. If you have questions, let me know. All right, so the process we're going to do today, we're going to do the MAP, the Michael approved process to importing photos. And importing photos, what that does is takes the photos from your phone or your camera. Oh, if they're on your phone, you have an in-between process. And that's in the Google Photos videos that you watched in class 3. That'll take you the photos from here using the Google Photos app to Google's cloud servers, and then from Google's cloud servers to your computer. Okay? Questions on that? You know what to do. Let me know. And then also it would be from a camera memory card, or in this case, we're going to use files on our computer. So this process is probably the most complicated part of learning Lightroom. And only because there's a lot of little tiny steps that I'm very specific and particular about, and that will affect your grade. So you do want to do them in the right order. Additionally, there'll be a guide for this, a PDF of this in Canvas in the module for class number 4. Lots of things to do. Once you get more experience at this process, it takes about 2 minutes. This is going to take about 20-25 minutes, maybe a little longer. All right, so let's get started. We're going to work on a sequence of photos. We're going to work on the same set of photos. So I have a sample demonstration set of photos for you on Canvas. So head over to Canvas, go to our class, and then go to the module for class number 4. At the top of that, you will find lrc.1.zip. So that's Lightroom Classic 1.zip. There will be, I think we'll do a total of 4 demonstration photo things throughout the rest of the quarter. All right, so if you pause this, if you need to get logged into Canvas, module for class number 4, here's the process. So my suggestion is to not have any other apps open on your computer, and I'll show you why when you get there. Have a spot on your desktop you can reach with drag and drop, if that's how you do things. I work on a Mac. I know just enough how to use a PC to be dangerous. If you need PC help, maybe try YouTube first, and if you're still stuck, let me know. I'll do what I can. All right, so here's the process. And this works both on a Mac and a PC. So you're gonna, I'm using the Chrome web browser. I'm gonna click once where it says lrc.1.zip, 1.zip, excuse me. Takes me to a new page, and now I have a link that says download that. So I'm gonna click where it says download lrc1.zip. And you can see it's about 70 megabytes, so it's a large-ish file. In Chrome, in the lower left corner, you'll see a circle, circling a blue circle that goes around as it's downloading. Once that blue circle is gone, that means the file is completely downloaded. Here's the next step. We need to get this file somewhere where it's easy to find, and this is my easy way to do this. So what I do is I click once where it says lr1.zip, and what it does is on a Mac at least, it opens the destination folder, which is the downloads folder, and it uncompresses that zip file. A zip is a compressed file, so it takes less space, and it lets you do multiple files with one click. So now I have a folder that's just LRC1. That's what I want, that LRC1 folder. If you're having problems, pause it, figure out what's going on, and come back. All right, so LRC1, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just click on that, hold, and drag it to my desktop. Anywhere. This is a temporary file. We're gonna delete it later. This is temporary. We're gonna make a copy as we do the import, okay? Cool. So some basic computer knowledge here. You gotta know how to use your computer at least a little bit. That'll get you to have the folder of photos in an easy place to get to. All right. Once you got that, now we're going to go back to Lightroom. Lightroom Classic, excuse me. Sometimes I'll just call it Lightroom. I apologize. That's my habit. For a long time, it was the only Lightroom, but now there's two. All right. Here's the interface to Lightroom. It's very gray, shades of gray. That's because gray is a neutral tone, so it helps you not distract from colors in your photo so you can better judge colors. Okay. Across the top are the modules. Those are the different panels of activity, different things you can do. For this class, we'll primarily use the library module, and we'll use that when we import photos and when we export, which is the last thing we'll do on today's class. And then the develop module is the other module we'll use quite a bit, which is the module for actually editing the photos with all the tools we have for editing. Later in the quarter, we'll probably do a little bit with the book. I'll demonstrate how that works. It's really cool to make books out of your photos. I'll show you how to do that all inside of Lightroom. All right. The other modules we won't really use. On the left, there's 5 panels here in the interface. So on the left-hand side are the organizational controls. At the bottom, that'll be a small preview. It's called the film strip, the preview of your images. The middle will be your main working area. On the right-hand side is the develop tools and other editing tools. And then again at the top is the modules. You'll notice each of these 4 outside panels has in the middle of it, facing out, is a little triangle. And you can change the behavior of how these panels work. So if I click on that triangle, it hides it. So if you need a little more space in your interface, you can hide different elements by clicking on that. And if you need it back, you just put your mouse back into it. Sure you do. Why isn't it working? You just put your mouse into it and it should show you back again. Maybe they changed the behavior. I don't know. I clicked on the triangle to re-show the things. So if it's not showing and hiding, click on that and you will bring it back. So the panels can collapse and expand as you need them. You can also change the size of the panels by clicking on the divider line and dragging left or right if they're the vertical ones, or up and down if they're the top and bottom. Lightroom wants a big screen. So if you've got a big screen, that's a good thing for editing. All right, let's see, what do we need to do next? Next, what we need to do is actually import some photos. So what we're gonna do for that activity happens in the library module. So it's designated what module you're in. The text in the module is a brighter white. So if you click on it, and you'll see this set of controls. The way you know you're in the library module is in the lower left corner, there's a button and it says import. That's what we want to do. All right, so in the import process, you'll get a new gray window up on your screen. And again, this is organized basically into 3 parts, and we're gonna work from left to right. So here's how this basic process works. Starting on the left is where you designate the location of the photos you want to import. For now, these photos are already on our computer. This middle panel will show you a preview of the photos so you can decide if you want all of them or just some of the photos. And then on the right-hand side are the instructions for Lightroom. Do this when you import the photos. So those are the steps we're going to take. And I'm kind of, like I said, particular about how they go. So I'm going to walk through those coming up right here. And I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to take the dog for a walk. Let's continue with are walking through the process of importing photos to Lightroom. So step number one is to find the photos. Now, generally when you do this, if you insert a memory card and you have Lightroom already open, it will open Lightroom and show you the contents of your memory card. So, but for now I have to go point Lightroom to my photo. So here's my suggested way to do this. Start in the top left where it says from. And it should say from and then your computer name. Click on that. And then you'll see a list of options. And the option you want to use here is other source. So click on other source because what this will do is let you most directly select the photos where they're located. So this gives you a window to your computer. And the photos we want are those LRC1 photos, which we downloaded in the first part of this video from Canvas. So I move those from the downloads folder to my desktop. So if I just click here and then go to my desktop, go to desktop, and then you will point at LRC1. So click on that and then click choose. I'm not selecting the individual photos. I'm just selecting the folder that the photos are in. So click on that, and then you should see 3 photos now. These are 3 photos from London in 2018, and you should see those up on your screen now. While you're in this mode, you can change the size of the thumbnails, and you do that near the lower right corner. You can change the size of this preview. I generally have it right around here. There's usually 4 or 5 across. That's a nice size to see what the image is. I'll remind you that at this step, this is not the step for choosing if one photo is better than another. They're too small to really see, and even if you clicked on an individual photo to look at it larger, it's low resolution preview, so you won't be able to really tell the details of if one photo is better than another. So what I do is just import all the photos that I took for a project, an assignment, a day, because it's just easier than not doing that. Just trust me on that. I'll show you on the Lightroom 2, I'll show you a better version of how to do this. Not better version, but a little more detail on what I'm talking about. Basically, if you took a photo for one of our assignments in class and there's 30, 40, 50 photos, just import the whole batch. Don't decide when you're importing which photos to use. We'll do that later. Okay. The next thing you need to do is you'll notice that Lightroom is in, because these photos are already on the computer, its default of how it wants to handle the photos is to add them. And you see that here at the middle at the top. I want to change that because I want to pretend like they're coming from a memory card because that's where the process happens. And those of you using phones who will be having photos on your computer, you'll also need to do this every time you import photos. Okay, so here's what you do. The first step in this is to click on copy. So change it from add here in the middle top to copy. So switch from add to copy. Okay. Once you've done that, you'll see on the right-hand side we have new options. And what we're going to do on this right-hand side is build up instructions for Lightroom. When you import these photos, when you add these photos to Lightroom's database, do these steps as well. And this is the power of Lightroom. It's, again, probably the most complicated part of Lightroom, and we're going to take a little bit of time to walk through it. But once you've got a little more experience and done it 3 or 4 times, this process takes about 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds, okay? But it's something you want to do all the time. Like I mentioned, I can find just about any photo I've ever taken because I've done this organizational process every time. Yes, it's an extra 30 seconds, but trust me, it'll save you time later on. All right, so 3 steps. What I'm going to do is first, for this first part of this, I'm going to do a little setup process, things I just need to do this one time. So as long as you keep working on this computer and this Lightroom, you won't have to do most of these steps again. All right, so here's the first step we won't have to do again. This is part of setup. And it's in the destination panel on the right-hand side. So it's the bottom panel on the right. If yours isn't showing, click the little triangle to the right of the word destination so it's pointing down, and that will expand the panel so you can see the details. I just need to change one thing here. And I'm going to change how it's organizing the photos. By default, Lightroom wants to organize photos by date, and I don't want that. I want to click on the word by date in that menu and then change that to the option right below that, which should be into one folder. So click on that, and that's all we have to do here. That's it. If you don't do this, for example, these 3 photos, what would happen is in my destination folder on my computer, there would be 3 folders because they were on 3 different dates, and each of those 3 folders would have only 1 photo in it. So it's an extra layer that I don't personally use. After this class, if you want to do whatever, you are welcome to. But part of the Michael Approved process is to turn this off from by date to the option into one folder. Also make sure into subfolder is unchecked as well. We're done with that. So I'm going to close the destination panel. I'm not going to use that anymore, so I'm going to close it. So that's the first part of setup. Now I'm going to walk you through the 3 steps we're going to do every time we import photos, and there will be some setup along the way, but I'm going to start at the top, and the first step in the setup process is to tell Lightroom, give Lightroom instructions where to permanently save these photos on the computer. Where to permanently save these photos on the computer. And the way I do that is up here in the top right where it says to. So I'm going to click on that. And again, I see this on options, and the option I want is other destination. Other destination. So I'm going to click on that, and this will again take me back to my computer. So what I want to do is you can save your photos wherever you would like, somewhere easy for you to find. When I'm working in the classroom, in the lab, I generally suggest students save the photos on their desktop in a folder that they're going to make for all their photos. I'm going to do that here as well. So I'm going to go to my desktop and click on that. And my first step, so I'm at my computer, then desktop, and my first step, and I just have to do this once today, this is part of setup, is to make a folder. I'm going to organize things again. Remember, organize, organize. I'm going to organize my photos into a master folder. And that master folder, I'm going to call it, for this process, I'm going to call it the import folder because I'm in the import step. For my business photos, they're in a folder called Michael Sladek Photography Photos. So you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it imports, and that's the language I'll use for now. So in my desktop, find where your option is to create a new folder and click on that. And this folder, again, will be called imports. IMPORTS if you'd like some help with spelling. Get close to that, or whatever you want to call it. Again, it's totally fine. This will be the place that holds all of your original photos that come right from your camera, right from your phone, and they go right here. Okay, so I'm going to click Create. So now I have that master top level folder, the parent, if you will. And then for each project from here on out, what I'm going to do is create a folder inside of that, which will hold an individual project. So I need to make a new folder inside of my import. So I'm at my computer, and then I go to desktop, then I go to imports, and I'll make another new folder inside my imports, or whatever you called yours. And I'm going to call this Lightroom Classic. That's one too many S's, sorry. 1. Okay, Lightroom Classic 1. LRC1 if you want. So I'm going to call it that, and then I'm going to click on Create. So you can see the path now. I'm at my desktop, then inside of that, on that level is my imports, that's the top, and then right below that is the folder called Lightroom Classic. And so inside your imports this quarter, you will have a folder for each project we work on. There will be some Lightroom demonstration ones, and then all your photo assignments. So you'll probably have 10 or 11 folders inside of this at the end of the quarter. Once you're completed this, click Choose. Okay. If you got lost along the way, rewind and follow along until it makes sense. If you do have any questions, again, send me an email. Check the guide that you'll see as a PDF download in the module for Class 4, or come visit me in Zoom office hours. All right, so that's step 1. You will need to do that every time. You will need to give a specific destination each time you import photos. And they'll always go inside whatever your imports folder is, and then make a new folder for each project. Here comes step number 2. Still organizing things in Lightroom. We're creating instructions here. Nothing has changed or happened yet. We're just building instructions. So the next step is file handling. File handling, and that's the next panel just below the To panel. To see the details, just click to the right of the word File Handling, that triangle, so it points down. And now we have expanded this panel, and at the bottom of that, the option we want is to Add to Collection. So I'm going to click on that, and here's what collections are in Lightroom. Lightroom uses the word collection in Lightroom Classic to define photo albums, basically. Actually, the other version of Lightroom calls it albums. Collections are albums. Think of it like a playlist in your music player. It's a way to organize photos, or songs on your music player, photos here, okay? So again, because I organize things pretty consistently, I'm able to find stuff. So here's my first step to organizing actually inside of Lightroom. So this happens in Lightroom. So once I've turned on the Add to Collection option, I need to click to the right where that plus sign is. That's the actual process of creating the collection. So it says name, so you're just going to type a new name. I typed the same name as I used for the folder name on my computer, the destination folder on my computer for the original photos. I just used the same name throughout. So Lightroom Classic 1. Just type that name. We don't need any of these options, and then click Create. So now what I've told Lightroom to do in this second step is, as you're organizing in the database, put these in a collection, a folder, an album in Lightroom that's called Lightroom Classic 1. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3, last step, is file renaming, the next panel down. So go ahead and leave that open, and file renaming, and we want to turn on this option. So what this will do is change how Lightroom names photos from, or how the photos appear on your computer. Instead of img456.jpg, you can give it a real name that makes sense for the project you're working on. So when I do weddings, the name has weddings in it, plus the name of the couple. If I do portraits, it's portrait, plus the location and the name of the person, so on and so forth. So as much detail without being, a short novel, that you can add to the file name. That will be your number one way to help you find your photos later on. Also, this part I will see when you upload your photos to Flickr. This is part of your technical grade for your assignments. So make sure all your photos have actual file names, and all of your assignments will have a name of what to call your photos. Okay. So we need to do a little setup first. We want to change. So first you got to click on Rename Files. That activates it and turns this on. The next step is to change the template. The template by default, I think, is the file name template. That's not helpful. It's just the same name as it was before. The template I'm going to use is custom name dash sequence. custom name dash sequence. So I'm going to click on that. So Lightroom will remember that each time you you come to that, okay? So all you have to do from here on out is tell Lightroom where the actual specific name for each project. And you do that in the next little box down below custom name dash sequence, which is the custom text box. So just click on that gray box, it now is white, and we're going to type a name. And the name I use is the same name I use for the collection and the same name I use for the album name on the computer, or the folder name on the computer, okay? Lightroom Classic. If you forget to do this step after this time, what'll happen is your photos will be untitled 1 through untitled, let's say 30 if you had 30 photos. That's a 10-point deduction in the technical score. So make sure you do this step. It only takes a moment. Make sure you remember to do it. Okay. So Lightroom Classic, it'll number them Lightroom Classic 1, Lightroom Classic 2, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, because I included the 1 in the name because this is the first time we're doing Lightroom. It'll add a dash and then a number. That's what I meant. Sorry, that was confusing. Okay. So we've now built our instructions. Step number 1 in the instructions was where to permanently save these photos on my computer. We're making a new copy of these photos, and they're going to be saved permanently on the computer. Step number 2 was in the file handling panel, and that was to add them to a collection inside of Lightroom, which is Lightroom's internal organizing structure. And then step number 3 was to add them, to add actual names in the file renaming panel to give these photos actual names that make sense so I can find them later on. Okay, so those are our processes. Our steps are complete in the Michael approved, the map to Lightroom. So now we can complete the import process in the lower right corner by clicking on that import button. So click it once. Lightroom should move pretty quickly to add these photos because they're already on the computer. These photos are. If they're coming from a memory card from your camera, they will take longer because it's a slower reading process. There you go. Now your photos are in Lightroom, ready to proceed with the next step. You did it. You imported your photos to Lightroom. If you imported before you meant to, don't stress too much about that. Go rewatch the video before you import for your first photo assignment, or you can try it again with another set of photos or ask me questions as you need. But that's the import process. I hope it makes sense. I've been using this for 10 plus years, and it really helps me organize my photos. The 100,000 photos I set, as I've mentioned, that I have, I can find any one of them from 10 years ago all the way to today pretty quickly because I'm organized with this process. Next video up will be a little bit of a walkthrough of the interface, and then we'll get into the basic panel. We'll start doing some edits, making these photos more individual. So we'll do that in a second. Well, whenever you do it, I keep forgetting. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.